Society making you feel insane, well, you're not alone. There are many of us, spiritual people, who feel very disconnected from society. We do not feel as if society and ourselves have the same values, and not necessarily virtues, but the same focuses. Spiritual people tend to focus on that which is beyond this material realm, while people who are very much of society focus on the insanity of temporary material gain, whether it be money, cars, houses, boyfriends, girlfriends, or fame within and their given circle or beyond. Maybe power itself, as far as nations go, or the ability to thrive by oneself with the illusion that this makes one better than everyone else. There are many forms that we feel disconnected to society because society has all these forms, and they're in the wrong value system. They're at the highest values within society when society should instead view these things as the lowest, the least valuable of aspects of existence, of creation, of the universe, what have you. But this is why us spiritual people feel this disconnect between us and society. There will always be this level of non-compatibility with sanity that we view society and ourselves as having. Society might think us spiritual people insane. Society might see us as, oh, well, you can't prove everything that is beyond this realm. You can't prove that to value things that are more consciousness related is the way to go, because what do you have compared to what the people who value material have? And if they value money, fame, and wealth, and maybe even power and security, then by their own measuring scale, those people are more valuable to them than us. But in truth, us valuing things beyond this realm, or even things that are just not necessarily beyond this realm, but of a higher understanding, of a higher non-attachment to all the things that are temporal, that we have. Now, we desire to gain true wealth, which is higher degrees of spiritual understanding, of liberation, moksha, of enlightenment. And these things are very non-tangible, but they don't necessarily depend on higher realms. They can then do simply depend on this realm, and being not attached to it, not demanding that if we don't have this or that, we're not going to be happy. So, you're not alone if you don't value what society values. We spiritual people, or even if you're just philosophical, not spiritual, even if you're atheist, you're not attached to things in this world, then you're on the same boat. We don't value those material things, and we value things that are far more subtle, but far more important. And honestly, far more powerful. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the exact same action, the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a new result every time, a better result. And this is by far the most insane thing a human being can do, but it is also what society is doing, what individuals are doing everywhere. This isn't the actual definition of insanity, but this is the closest allegory of insanity that one can come to. And it is strewn throughout pop culture. Look around the definition of insanity. You might want to look up Far Cry 3 and Voss, which is a very good example. But the idea that insanity is repeating the same thing, expecting different results, very much applies to society. Because what do we do in society? We expect to have a higher degree of contentment and happiness the more money we make. Okay, I made this much money, and I'm not happy, I'm not content. Let me make some more. I'm not happy and I'm not content. Let me make some more. Doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. Fighting to gain wealth, fighting to gain fame in order to gain wealth, fighting to gain recognition in maybe the business world, especially in a capitalistic society, or even even among friends and family and society at large when it comes to popularity. But here we're talking about society in relation to capitalism or the gaining of money. So we imagine that, okay, if we had this much money, we would be happy, we would be content. If I just make another $10,000, then I will have what I need in order to provide myself with a content way of living. And people will look at me with respect. People will look at me with envy, and I will be happy because of that. And we can say this about 10,000. We can say this about $5. We can say this about $100. We can say this about 1,000, 10,000, a million, $1 billion. And instances exist in the United States of every single degree of this expectation of achieving happiness through wealth, through a gaining of money, a gaining of the ability to purchase more things in the world, and therefore expecting these materialistic things to provide us with happiness and contentment. So I would propose that, granted that for this video, the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting different results, gaining more, and this is my example, gaining more and more money, expecting each time that you'll become happier and happier, more content and more content, is the very supposition. If it's even a subconscious supposition, it's probably subconscious. It's probably not conscious for most people. But in a so-called free market society or a capitalistic society or a society based around money and gaining money, and that basically determining your level in society, no matter if it's the United States or other countries, for countries like this, it is very much this state of society that it is insane. Because we do not find completion or wholeness through gaining more and more money, currency, monetary value, the ability to purchase more things, that we may surround ourselves with these things and be perceived with these things, and supposing that it will make us at a higher level than we were and a higher level than others that do not have these things. But this is insanity, and society is insane for this reason. Now, in other societies, it might be more, party politics. If it's a very communistic society, communist society, then it might be a higher status in the Communist Party. This isn't true for every single communist society, but this is an example. Getting higher and higher levels of position within the Communist Party. That might be your money, your currency through which you buy things, whether it be favors, whether it be all of the material items that you want, or people's respect. There are many forms of currency and money and ways to purchase what we view as the things that can make us seem better than other people, and we might even assume that they will literally make us better than other people. But purchasing power, and it's always a form of money, and it doesn't have to be like currency, but it's always a form of trade. You having more to trade than somebody else. This makes us more and more likely to view the entire world through the idea that if we have more purchasing power, then we will gain greater and greater degrees of contentment and happiness. But this is never the case. Okay, enough about that in particular. So why doesn't purchasing power and money and every form of currency, whether it's literal or metaphorical or allegorical, why do these things not provide us with happiness and contentment? It is because society is insane for thinking that it would. Happiness and contentment is not reliant upon how high you are in a societal status. It is not reliant upon how much power you are able to manifest and deploy based on your purchasing power. It is not based on how popular you are in your particular class or societal stratum, and it is most certainly not based on how much literal money you have, which is the very heart of the issue. because we try to purchase things through different forms of money. But anyway, the idea that that money gives us the ability to increase our happiness and contentment is insanity. Because, like I said, it is not based on external values. It is more based on our acceptance of ourselves. And money does not give us acceptance of ourselves. It does not give us the ability to understand ourselves and everyone else. It only gives us our ability to operate within society, which is completely external. It has nothing to do with internal interpretation, internal understanding, and internal ability to see past all of these factors which are very much existent in time and space and in this one life. And you can't take the money with you when you die. You can't carry greed on into another realm. It simply restarts. So the greed is completely a pain in the ass if it does restart and you still have the same amount of greed, but you don't have any of the wealth that you gained in this life. And we're getting into reincarnation and the afterlife and things like that, but finding contentment and the ability to be okay with yourself and others, no matter how much money you have or they have, is the true definition of sanity. Developing an ability to understand everyone and understand that our connections are not based along the lines of money, but based along the lines of how connected we are to other people, but also the universe at large, and how we continue that connection, how we enhance that connection. It's not about making money, it's about increasing the magnitude of connection, because we start out with these connections even if we don't realize it, and we just have to increase the magnitude, the ferocity, the intensity of these connections to everything else, and that is the true, I guess you could say, purchasing power of the soul. And it doesn't isolate you. It combines your own spirit, your own soul, through choice, to every other spirit and soul, and past the delusions and illusions that we find in this materialistic universe, that we find in Maya, that we find in the delusions that have existed since the birth of all of the universes, the multiverse. So seek not to gain more and more money in expectation that it will provide you with greater and greater degrees of contentment and happiness. Seek greater and greater connections. And don't expect happiness and contentment because of it, but realize your connection to other people and the universe at large in its very many forms, no matter what forms of matter or energy. There is soul behind everything. There is Brahman prevails and is just below the surface of everything, which is actually just below the surface is actually higher. If that makes any sense. But find a coexistence, a symbiosis with everything to greater and greater magnitudes, and you will find that money becomes laughable as a goal. Material becomes laughable, and you start to realize that this is the kind of monetary exchange that you can take with you life after life, even if you don't remember. Connection, networking on the highest level. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this rant has been interesting, and it has indeed been a rant. I mean, from bottom to top, top to bottom. But this has been a video about the definition of insanity. And this is more of a pop culture reference than the actual definition of insanity. But I think the point has been made clear that insanity is repeating the idea that fulfillment can be attained through greater and greater degrees of fame or money, purchasing power ultimately, in all its forms, when in fact it cannot. And no matter how high the degree is, it's all about our ability to connect. And if we connect to greater and greater levels, we soon find that that is what changes our self-development. That is what changes our standing in the universe. And not because it's above somebody else, but it is greater and greater degrees of self-happiness, acceptance of oneself. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been informative. If you like this video at all, hit that thumbs up down there. I really appreciate it. And if you agree with me or disagree with me, feel free to shoot it down in the comment section below. And I will see all of you in the future. Remember the definition of insanity.